hierarchical system,
right,
and to, quote, please the white master. Whereas, I mean, he eventually completely changed his entire ideology. But in the 1960s, in 1963, when he gave this speech and he was still part of the Nation of Islam, it was about black nationalism and an ideology of actually there's nothing that the white man can do for this, which he then later denounced. So that's why it's part of the other reason why you really shouldn't be using that analogy, and especially looking at, well, who was a little bit more successful in the long run by working within that, and who ended up actually denouncing his own framework that he puts forward. So there you go. That was wild. Second, and I guess on the other side of that, was another wild moment where our friend Ryan Girdusky, who's been on CNN a little bit more, had a moment where he revealed a lot, I think, about CNN. And he mentioned the Ferguson and the Floyd effect. Now, I guess I have to explain this. I thought any reasonable person who reads the news would know what it is. That is an idea which came about after Ferguson, and specifically a lot of the BLM movement from 2015, where there was a rise in crime as a result of the BLM riots and or demonstrations. The idea being that police were more afraid to pull over people.
Police were kind of like quiet quitting, basically.
Police were quiet quitting, which led to an increase in crime. It is not a difficult concept. If you are, I'm going to say 10% familiar with debates about criminal justice and about crime, you're going to know what these two things are. Watch what happens when he uses this term on CNN, specifically with some people who are so-called black activists, and they've never even heard of it before. Let's take a listen.
Just yesterday, Ryan, about how, in the context of riots, he was saying, let's just bring the military into it to deal with American citizens. I mean, that happened yesterday.
Right, but the post-George Floyd riots resulted in an excess of over 15,000 black male deaths in this country. How?
Yeah.
The surge of violent crime, it was like Ferguson, the Ferguson effect and the Floyd effect.
Respectfully, you got to explain to me how George Floyd's death.
Yeah.
Because I need causation here.
Yes,
you really are
because what happens is after the Ferguson riot and after the Floyd riot, policemen, in fear of their jobs many times and political coverage, pull back from their jobs, resulting in an increased level of
listen, I got to stop you there because, hold on. You can look at the Washington Post. Ryan, we got to stop you there because you're literally making a connection out of your own conjecture.
No,
you cannot.
It's a real thing. Look up the Ferguson effect. Look up the Floyd effect. It is a real term.
You cannot.
It's a real term. I didn't make this up.
Invent a connection between two things just because you want that connection to be there.
It's a little like a name. It's a real thing. You can look it up.
Right. It could be a right thing, but it doesn't mean it's accurate. Yeah.
Let's make them up all the time because we use their point.
Look it up. I'll send you a reading list after the show.
Hold on. We're talking about things that happened when Donald Trump was president.
Right.
He was the president. So how is he not responsible for it?
Well, the president doesn't control local police departments.
Well, okay, but you're trying to blame crime on Joe Biden.
No, I didn't blame.
Okay, Republicans have blamed crime on Joe Biden, but you cannot. But you're saying that people who died when Donald Trump was president, that's not his fault.
I don't.
I don't agree with either blame being assigned to either president. I think presidents don't have a magic wand.
Okay, I think that is so wild. You tell me what you think. I just can't get over it. It's like, do you not read the news? Bakari Sellers, you don't know what the freaking Floyd or Ferguson effect is? By the way, I looked it up. Abby Phillips, that host, you don't want to know who covered Ferguson for the Washington Post? Turns out it was Abby Phillips. You don't know what freaking Ferguson effect is? Her own paper, while she worked there, under that guy, what was it, Wesley Lowery, they did a million pieces trying to disprove the Ferguson effect. So look, whether you agree or not, how can you possibly not know what it is? I just don't get it. And then she kept cutting him off the whole time, saying it was totally invented. This is an FBI-addressed terminology, just ludicrous. So you give me a reaction. I can't get over it.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very clear evidence of what bubbles these people live in, you know, because like, as someone on the left, like I'm very familiar with this. I personally think it's sort of outrageous for cops to like quiet quit after because they face scrutiny for, you know, killing unarmed black citizens. But I'm definitely familiar with the term to be able to argue about it and talk about it. And so the fact that, they all seemed like, what are you even talking about? It was kind of wild.
That's what Bakari, and Bakari was like, you made that up. I looked at his reaction on Twitter too, because a lot of conservatives were looking at this. And I mean, the reason why I'm not sure it's a bubble thing, and I'm actually like, are you just stupid? Is for you to have a conviction, you should, I would hope, like do a little bit of reading about it. Like you just said, I have met ACAB, BLM people. They'll tell you all about the Ferguson effect and how it's bullshit, or about the Floyd effect and why that's the wrong way.
I don't think it's that
you don't read about it. You don't investigate. You don't even think.
Listen,
like,
I'm not gonna like opine on their IQ levels, but I can say I think it demonstrates a lack of seriousness about their concern for the problem.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
That I think is fair to say, and it is partly a bubble problem because they're never in whatever their social media news consumption habits were. They were never confronted with this term and have to deal with it and think about what it means and whether the conservatives have a point about it or what the pushback on the left is or any of that. So to me, it displays not so much lack of intelligence, but lack of seriousness about the issue and a sort of like surface level relationship to the protests that they covered.
Yeah, Ryan and I were talking about it yesterday, and I'm like, we both of us combined, how many hours a day do we just spend reading the news, like, and everything? I mean, every thing that even I strongly believe. I read so many counter cases, either to be familiar, or just try and change my own mind. I mean, who the hell knows? And I still obviously have a bias problem. I know you do the same thing, just to prepare for every single day of being here. So to watch that, I was just like, oh my God. I'm like, what? Do you even prepare for when you go on your, like, to talk with confidence on cable television? My rule was always, I thought you need about 30 minutes of reading for every like 1 minute of speaking. And like what I meant by that is to distill an idea into a concise thing to be able to address an argument. It takes time. You need to be familiar with the things that are going on, with the news, with all the facts, and then you can try and break down it into a single thing. And even then, here on our show, we talk for almost 2 hours. They're talking for 45 minutes with each other. So maybe that's part of it.
That's what I was gonna. I think that is part of it because anytime I don't often. I mean, they don't invite me on these shows anymore, number one. But even when I engage in anything that's like even remotely like this format, it's a reminder to me of, they're like 6 or 8 minute segments.
Yeah.
You don't have to know a lot because if you just filibuster through one answer or, stick your talking points, then that's it. So you can get away with having a pretty surface level understanding. Mm-hmm. And also because you aren't oftentimes faced with people who have a different perspective or have facts or, statistics or whatever, that's like uncomfortable for you. You've never had to grapple with that really, or don't have to grapple with it very often outside of the realm of just like, is Trump good or is Trump bad? Then, it can lead to some major blind spots.
Yeah, let's definitely that. Okay, guys, thank you guys so much for watching. We really appreciate you. If there's any breaking news, obviously, we'll see you over the weekend. Otherwise, we're going to see you all on Monday. Thanks so much to our premium subscribers. Hey, if you like that video, hit the like button or leave a comment below. It really helps get the show to more people.
And if you'd like to get the full show ad-free and in your inbox every morning, you can sign up at breakingpoints.com.
That's right. Get the full show, help support the future of independent media at breakingpoints.com.